Hi, welcome to Stuck, Time to Improv. I'm Mary Scott with Business Riff, and we have advice for startup businesses. So I'm so excited today. My guest is Val Low from Path Clear Marketing. She started out as an organizer, and now she's doing brand messaging, and she's got some great advice for you out there. Welcome, Val.
Thank you, Mary. I'm so excited to be here.
This is so cool. So, what kinds of things do you come to mind when you think about startups?
The first thing you got to do is get clarity on who you serve, who has a problem that you can solve. And then that's the next, that's the what. What's the problem that you solve for that particular market? And making sure that it's a profitable market. So you've got to know who it is, what you do, and that it's profitable to you.
What kinds of tools do you suggest people use to avoid the distractions of to kind of stay on task?
Oh gosh, blinders?
Yeah, sometimes that's not a bad thing. But it's my experience that sometimes, particularly tech startups, are hyper-focused. And
Yes.
they are so on the details that they miss the bigger picture.
Exactly. So come back around to the clarity, like what is it you're doing, who are you serving? And if you get distracted off in different areas, come back to that. Who are you serving? What do you do for them? And that helps to keep you on track. So, like I mentioned, there's so many pieces to this puzzle.
What are some of the other pieces? How do people go about branding themselves, do you think?
The next thing that I like to do is find out what your brand personality is. Like, who are you? What's the brand of your company? How do you serve others in a unique way? And in our company, we have clarify your brand. And that starts with the brand personality and a brand archetype. And it's just a really good place to go to find out who you are, your brand promise, your brand statement, all of those pieces. And then it's interesting once you get that, then you just feel a lot more confident in who you're serving and how you're doing that. And then the other piece of the brand is the marketing. Like, you've got to have that marketing as well for your brand. But once you're clear on who you serve, what you do, and your brand and how you bring that to the marketplace, then that helps to set you apart and make it easier for you to market who you are.
Okay. Do you have a brand personality test that people could take?
I have a brand assessment. And this assessment that I use, for instance, you might be romantic.
Okay.
And you know, some romantics, how they love rich things and romance and all of those pieces. And the colors are so rich and vibrant for a romantic. But then you might be an explorer who is discovering things, and you're more earthy and earth tones. And it's really exciting to go through the assessment and find out who you are, and then marry those pieces together in your brand and in how you can move forward in your business.
Do you have a story of somebody that you helped them find clarity and made a difference?
Oh, yes. I've lots of stories, but one person in particular, oh, she's made such a transformation. My goodness, just thinking about her gives me chills because she's done so well. When she first came, she came into my marketing, to magnify your brand program. And we did the assessment first. Took quite a bit of time to go through her assessment, find out what her brand strategy was and what she took a stand for, and all the pieces in that branding with archetypes session. And she was hesitant and she was trying to figure out how to do all of this. And when we started working through it, she just nailed everything. She just came really, really clear on the pieces. And you could almost see that transformation in her when she was going through it. But several months now, I'm in a networking group with her. And she is so confident when she speaks. She's confident. She just knows who her market is. It's just really exciting to see that clarity that's happened.
Yeah.
And then when you've got that, then you can move forward so much more confidently. Clearly, people understand who you are. It just makes it, as a startup business, it just makes it so much easier when you know that.
Sure. Sometimes you just need that outside person asking you the questions and validating that your first response is the correct one. Because people will overthink. So it's your first response. warts and all, this is the internet and it's all about authentic, and you have to get comfortable with being yourself.
That's
and then your idea, your concept, your service that you're passionate about delivering to make the world a whole better place, it's going to come through that much more clearly.
Yes, and I love that you say authentic, because it's so easy to get down to speakies or sales speak, or some of those ways that are not really you. And being authentic is how you draw more people to you. When you can be authentic, they're going to say, oh, I kind of like this person. Or maybe they don't like you, but they still can get a feel of who you are.
You want to know one way or the other, right?
Yes.
I would much rather have someone say no to me than to say maybe for the next 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yes is always good. No is also good, because it tells you, okay, don't bother me anymore. Don't waste anybody's time.
Yes.
So
and that's a really good point too, Mary, is that you want to be so clear on the people that you serve that you're not trying to serve everybody. And so no's are important as well as the yeses.
Right. So how did you get into this particular area of service?
Oh gosh, when the pandemic came around, I thought, well, people still need to be organized, because that's what I was doing as an organizer and an efficiency strategist. But what else do they need? And everybody's going online. So that's what drove me into going online. And then I got into branding and marketing, and there's so much interest there, and people are so diverse, and how do you make yourself stand out? So that's my story about getting into the messaging and brand clarity. Sometimes
it's about asking other people who they think you are, because you have your own idea, you have how you usually present yourself, but it's really good to take stock from time to time and ask people who know you pretty well, okay, if you had to describe me to somebody else, what would you say? If you had to tell somebody what I do, what would you say? And just to kind of get a sense of who you are in the marketplace. Yeah, it's very good questions to ask. And one of the things that I found too for myself is that there's some things that I do naturally that really support and serve people. But for a long time, I just kind of shuffled it off because it's just who I am and what I do. But when I started looking at really we call it superpowers, or superpowers, because they all have those things that we do really well. Yeah. And when I started looking at that, well, okay, yeah, I need to nurture this in me, in how I serve people, because it's a big part of who I am. So you have other bits of advice, more puzzle pieces? But there's pieces like the marketing. When you first starting it into a startup, you've got to get a lot of marketing out there to get momentum going on. And sometimes you feel like you're wearing a lot of hats and doing a lot of things, but you really need to get that momentum in the marketing. And then when you start to get that momentum, get yourself some team members. And you don't have to have a full-time employee in your office. There are so many people virtually now, and lots of great virtual assistants that can come in and do all kinds of pieces for you. So that's one of the pieces, as soon as you can, to get someone to come in and help you do things. Give me 3 things you've had a virtual assistant do for you. My virtual assistant that I have right now does my weekly tip. So I create it, but then I send it to her and she looks at it, edits it, makes sure it's okay, sets it up into the autoresponder. I have a podcast management team that takes my podcast and edits it for me. So that's like a virtual assistant as well, I think. Oh gosh, there's so many pieces. Forms and strategies. My one BA looks after all of my courses in Kajabi. Was there one piece of advice you wish you had when you were first starting up? Oh my goodness, there's lots of pieces. Do what you love, but do something that you love, that is sustainable, or bring those pieces into your business and shine what you have to give to the world. Well, thank you very much, Val Low from Clear Path Marketing. This has been another interesting episode of Stuck, Time to Improv. So I hope we'll see y'all next week.